Hey everyone, just gonna do some head sketching today, just using a pastel pencil. This is Conte and I just sharpened it with a knife and some sandpaper, just to get a nice long point going. Can be handier to use. Also got a new pastel pencil, which is nice. I think it's a same one as I usually use, the 007, which is kind of like a reddish brown, sanguine kind of stuff. Again, with these gesture drawings, gesture drawings, with these head drawings, I'm just gonna start with the big gesture, how it all looks. I think it's easy. It's always best to start with some sort of flow going on. Don't know if I'm going to go too accurate with these. I'll just spend a little bit of time, maybe 2 to 3 drawings. Or if I feel okay, if I get really into one drawing, I'll just do it with one. Just going to start connecting lines. See, I just drew the brow here. Actually, I need it wrapping around a little bit more, just to get the idea for myself. Wrapping it down until it hits the cheekbone, and just getting that point so I can attach it to the nose here. I'm really just feeling my way around the drawing, not being too precise, but I feel confident enough. Just kind of, when I feel my way around, I can get a fairly accurate drawing. Still, I don't have to be too worried. Or even like if it's not accurate, I think it will sit well. It still flows well. I think with his head, I just have to kind of realize that we're looking from above here. So like you can even see on the lips that I'm not going to see a lot of that upper lip, but I'll see a good bit of that bottom lip. And then the same with the nose. I'm not really his nose kind of tilts a little bit upwards, so I'm just seeing a slight bit of that underneath, but not a lot, not as much as I usually do in a lot of references. Again, with the chin, we got a really nice, just for reference, you can see the really nice like planes of the chin. The top plane, the front plane actually changes quite well. Fairly easy to see. I love pastel on newsprint. It just feels quite good, especially when you got it nice and sharp. I do recommend sharpening your pencils with a knife and sandpaper. Even just normal graphite pencils, I think you can get a bit of a longer point sometimes, unless you've got a good, really good sharpener for that to make specific long points. I prefer a long lead nib, a long bit to draw with than anything else. So again, just gonna feel my way around the idea of that cheekbone wrapping around. I'll work with the bit of light I have on this to draw in the rest. So I have that. That's okay. I think this distance is a bit longer than it should be, but I'm not going to be too bothered. These head drawings are just good just to get a bit of practice in. Get yourself more comfortable with what you do. And making some mistakes isn't really the end of the world. You might learn just how to fix them, instead of when, you make that mistake when you go to like your big drawing, but sometimes it can be a bit scary if you haven't encountered it before, or you've only encountered it a little bit of times. But if you make mistakes over and over again, when it shows up, it's not that big of a deal. You know exactly what to do to approach it. And always, again, I'm not moving my wrist too much. I'm just maybe using it more for direction than using my elbow to draw. You start finding out where that ear is. Let's just wrap around this head. Still, even though we're using a photo reference, think of it as a 3-dimensional form, because that's what we're trying to represent here. Always feel your way around the form. There we go. I think we're getting a decent head in here. Might go do a little bit of shading on it, but maybe not too much. I think I'm going to run out of space on the newsprint and maybe start too high, or I drew it too big. That's okay. We know our limits. Let's see, did we miss anything before we start putting in any shadow? Maybe we'll just indicate where the hairline is. There we go. And see, like, just I didn't like do too much measuring, but maybe it's not the most accurate, but it has a nice bit of flow to it. Like, I think this eye socket could be a bit bigger, eh? Alright, now it's just, I'll do maybe just some simple shading. Throw in the cast shadows. Might not be too miffed about putting in reflective shadow or not. I'll see how I feel as we continue through this drawing. Because I want to get another head in before I finish up this video. Actually, I'm kind of making a mistake. I'm doing, well, not really a mistake, but usually I like doing the same value throughout a drawing before I can, like, I've already made a darker value here, but I think it's simpler if I keep all the values the same and before I start really designing. And even when you're shading, go with the form of it. Go with the direction. You can. It might not be completely. You might not be able to see it at the end of your drawing, but the feeling with that will resonate throughout your whole piece. Just like, you know, when you're working in pen, you really have to work with the flow of the form more than anything when you're shading, cross-hatching and whatnot. This is actually a benefit of getting that long piece of lead out. You can use the side of it for some consistent wide shading instead of using the tip of it. It would take ages. I just mark out here. The ear is a bit of a complex form, so I need to be a bit careful about the shading. Maybe just everything in here should be grand. So what we can probably do is, there's another way of doing it, is like, you know, shading the whole ear, then going in with the eraser to find out those shapes. And again, simple. Like, even though, you know, there's the white of the eye, it's not white in the picture, is it? It's very clearly in shadow. So do represent that. Put it in that shadow. Get it into your dark values. Now I could continue on here. Do I continue with this drawing, or do I move to another one? If I continue on to the drawing, maybe we'll do a little bit more on this, maybe. Just not too much more, but maybe I'll just put on some darker shadings around. Darker values even. Just get the idea of them around. I love that sound of the pastel hitting the paper or charcoal. That's why actually I like the Conte Paris charcoal pencils more than any other pencil, just because I love the scratchiness of it. It just feels good. Let's reinforce this idea of the ear. We're losing it a bit. The ears are a lovely thing to draw. I should probably do a video on just drawing ears. I'm not, you know, excellent at them, but I think a good ear really can make a portrait pop out sometimes. What are we missing? I'm just getting. Actually, I haven't even shaded in the hair at all. It's completely left it there. And as always, when shading the hair, just do it as a big mass of value. Even for doing long hair, you know, don't be drawing in individual hairs. Think of it as a group. Alright, I think we'll move on to another what am I trying to say? Reference photo? Yeah, probably another reference photo. I think that's what I'm trying to talk about. Right, next page. Alright, person facing the other direction here. And we're looking up on the head a bit more this time. Sure, I'll just make sure my page is still in the center. Yeah, it's close enough. I was doing sweeping strokes, just trying to find the form more than anything. Maybe I'm going a bit too close with the way I hold the pencil there. I might need to step back a bit. I think I might be at some point need to get some sort of way of recording while I draw on like A2 or A3 paper on a board. I need something about being able to stand at your easel or just working a bit bigger really brings a lot more life to your drawings, because you can use your shoulder a little bit more in it than just your elbow and wrist. You know, the smaller your medium and your surface, to be a bit more careful about things, I find. And that totally suits people, but I'm I'm really just not that kind of person. I've always struggled with, drawing with fine liners and whatnot. It doesn't never just never felt good with me for me. I was been more of a charcoal and kind of big chunky pastels, making big marks on the page. Really resonates. That doesn't mean I don't ever draw with fine liners and whatnot. You kind of have to try even stuff that you're not good with, because they influence other mediums too. Like I said earlier, working with fine liners, you start thinking about being a bit more careful with your placements and marks and stuff to understand the form. Can then lead you on to being a bit better at drawing with your big mediums like your charcoal and whatnot. And just also when you're drawing the hair, just do big sweeps. Like, her hair isn't like this curvy and stuff, but I think hair is a time where you can be a bit more gestural with it. It benefits a lot off that. See how we're feeling with the rest of this. I think maybe if that's my top lip, is it? Yeah, I drew that as my top lip. Let me just fix that bit. And my bottom lip's here. Let me see if I feel okay about that chin. Actually, that bottom lip I maybe drew a bit too big. That's that. Okay, I'm not too bad with that chin. I'm okay with it. Again, just flowing through the drawing, trying to get every shape I see a bit of gesture, a bit of flow. I don't want anything too stiff. You kind of want the more you're confident with it, your hand and your pencil marks jumping around and flowing through the page, you'll see it in the rest of your when a viewer goes to see your drawing, their eyes will jump around. They'll have a lot to explore. And you see it yourself when you go to a gallery and you find a painting you really love. You find yourself trying to examine all of it. You really enjoy it. Enjoy what you see. And that can only be done through like good understanding of the principles. Flow, value, color, line, learning your anatomy, your proportion. You're trying to make, your drawings a bit harmonious with each other. Alright, I think I'm okay with these drawings. Was there anything else we need to draw on this? I think I've left this actually quite loose, Didn't do too much shading at all on this. We'll do a little bit more before I call it. Just gotta turn my page so I can get a nicer mark going. Don't be afraid to do that either. You're not stuck, Now, if I was continuing this drawing, I'll just talk a little bit about when you're doing your own drawings and what to be doing after this stage where you got a little bit of everything down. I might take a little bit more time to fix proportions, because I've kept everything quite loose, but it also means it's easy to manipulate later if I need to change anything. I'd come in with the eraser and then maybe I'd move some soft and hard edges around. Start identifying where to design everything. maybe getting a little bit more nuance into the shading. Have a little bit of shade. Like I'd probably get the pencil and shade out throughout the whole lights, and then come in my eraser and play around with that a bit more. But I'll leave this how it is. I'm happy enough with it, and I like the last drawing too. So, thanks for watching, everybody.